Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel and another in the series of actors and their collections. I'm going through some of my favourite actors and basically just showcasing all of the films that I have in my collection. In this case for this specific actor that they've either starred in or just directed. And the actor I've chosen to talk about today is the great Robert Redford. Who's been a favourite of mine for quite a few years now. I think I discovered him quite a bit later. I would say I discovered Robert Redford more so during the first lockdown was when I really started to watch a lot of his films. I've seen a lot of his films now, although there are a few of his big ones, earlier ones, that I've still not seen, Butch Cassidy being probably the biggest I've not seen yet, so I need to get on that. But I've also decided for this series, I've done 3 now, this is the 4th one, I am also going to show DVDs, including the DVDs that haven't got a case, so I can literally show you everything I got by that certain person in my collection, whether it's in a case or not. So I think I've got 4 discs here, yeah, 4 discs. But yeah, there's still quite a lot of films I need to get from him in the collection. A lot of the cases because they're not that easy to come by. But yeah, I just really admire him. I really like him as a director. Like I said, talk a bit about how I got into him. I got into him, I would say, like I said, during the first lockdown, through the film Sneakers, which I was going to show in order, but as I'm talking about it, might as well show it now. It was a film that was on Sky one day during the lockdown, and I think I caught part of it. I then switched it off and I went online, and it was one of the very, if not the first Blu-ray I ever got in the collection, or definitely the first I ever ordered online. I've mentioned before, it was this one, the 4K of E.T., I think Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one, Sleepers, which is another great film, and Oliver. Those were the first films I really got in the collection, and this one, I just watched this and I just really admired Robert Redford, and from there kind of just delved into his back catalogue more, all of his older films. He had just retired at the point of this coming out, so I knew he wasn't making any more films. I had seen films with him in before, including the likes of, yeah, this one, The Winter Soldier being my favourite MCU film. He's great in this as Alexander Pierce, who's the front man for he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's actually, well, I'm not going to spoil it in case you've seen it, and it's not as you would think, bit of different kind of character for Robert Redford, I think. Really good in this. As I said, my favourite MCU film, political thriller, which Robert Redford's always been great in. And then obviously he had a very small part in what is his last credited film, Endgame, which he filmed before he announced he was retiring anyway. So he's only got a small scene when they go back to 2012, and they basically come in to the Stark Tower or Avengers Tower, whatever it's called, him and a group of other people, to try and get the Tesseract off of them that they've just confiscated from Loki. If you've seen it, you know what happens. That's all the only scene he's in this, but I thought I'd still include it because he's still technically credited. And then, yeah, over the years, I've just watched more and more of his films. There's some that I've seen, for example, Legal Eagles, which I think is a really good underrated comedy from the 80s. Brubaker, which my granddad recommended to me and I watched and really enjoyed that, like a prison drama, which features, I think it might be the first performance from Morgan Freeman, who plays a fellow prisoner. That's a really good one. The Natural, where he's a baseball player, but it's like a bit fantastical. Glenn Close is in that one as well. Excellent in that. trying to think if there's any others that I don't have that I've seen. Probably, I can't think, but there's definitely others that I've seen that I've just not got yet. But I'll start going in order. So the first oldest film of his that I've got in the collection, I should say, is The Way We Were from 1973, obviously starring the great Barbra Streisand as well. I think I've mentioned this in a recent video, but or recent-ish video, should I say. Really great film, really like this film. Really good romantic drama, I would say it's more of than a comedy. Set during the, I want to say it's before the film, it's about the 40s, I don't know, can't read, it's German. But Hollywood, I can read McCarthy era, so whenever that was, yeah, about then, bit before then, maybe 30s maybe. But yeah, remember it being a really good film. And yeah, this was a later Robert Redford film. I definitely watch that later on. As with this one, which is a huge one, a classic, one of his best, which it took me a while. I think I only got around to watching this for the first time last year, but that's The Sting, also starring Paul Newman. Really good, like comedy, caper kind of film from the 70s again. This was 73 as well. You got the Scott Joplin, who'd passed away a long time before this came out, but his music, and it kind of revitalized, I suppose is the right word, his music. And this was directed by George Roy Hill, who I believe also directed both of them in Butch Cassidy. It doesn't say who else is in this, but I remember there being someone else in this that I thought, oh yes, them. But Robert Shaw, that's it. Robert Shaw's also in this one. And yeah, if you've not seen this, recommend it. Really nice, light-hearted Saturday afternoon kind of watching. And this was one of my grandpa's favourite films as well. I can see why, because it's just a great film of its time that still holds up today. And then from 76, a great political thriller, one of my favourite political thrillers, starred another of my favourite actors who I might do a video for soon. I know there's a few of us in the community that really like this actor, Jodie being probably her most favourite actor. But this is All the President's Men, also starring Dustin Hoffman. This is Alan Pakula, yeah, who's a favourite of mine from what I've seen of him. There's still quite a few of his that I need to watch. You've got Hal Holbrook. If I remember rightly, does Hal Holbrook play, what do you call it? What was it? Was it Deep something? The one that leaked it all, basically, from the Watergate, because this is all about Watergate, basically, and two journalists, reporters, trying to get to the bottom of it, find out what happened, who did what. Jason Robards plays Ben Bradley, who is more prominent in the film The Post from 2017, in which Tom Hanks portrayed him, and it also stars Meryl Streep as Catherine Graham, who was the head of the paper at the time in the 70s. Another really good take on the story, which I recommend. But All the President's Men, as I say, one of my favourite political thrillers with two dynamite leads. So yeah, recommend that one as well. And then next up, from 78, I think, or no, this was 77. And this is one that I watched a few weeks ago. He's not in this one until towards the end, but I would say he has a pivotal role in it, and that's A Bridge Too Far. Really good war film. As I said, he's in it more towards the end, where he's tasked with getting his unit across the bridge, basically right at the end. And the way they do it, they go through on the boat to take back this little village, I think, from memory. But yeah, really good war film. Not too much more to say about this because I just spoke about this one recently. But yeah, good performance from him in this one as well. I'm just checking to see if I'm going alright with the discs, because I don't know if I've got any of the discs in order actually. Okay, so that goes there. Then that. Okay. Right, next up we have one that I've not actually seen yet, but it's a Sidney Pollack film, and I love Sidney Pollack's films. It does actually, I think this is Danish, maybe? Norwegian release. So for some reason it's in English. But it's a film called The Electric Horseman, also starring Jane Fonda. It says he plays an ex-world champion cowboy, reduced to huckstering breakfast food in a suit studded with flashing lights. Jane Fonda is a chic, sharp member of the electronic media, a TV newswoman who'll do anything to get a good story. When Redford rides out of a Las Vegas casino into the desert astride his sponsor's living symbol, a multi-million-dollar racehorse, Jane is discovered as a multi-million-dollar racehorse. Jane is determined to discover why. She does, one step ahead of a posse of pursuing police, but by the time they reach a remote rendezvous high in the Utah mountains, she is in love with both the cowboy and his convictions. So this sounds more like a romantic comedy. It sounds quite comedic. Obviously, you've got romance between the two leads. Let me know what you think of this if you've seen it down below, because I've not seen that one. Another one I've not seen, but he only directed this one. He didn't star in it, but he won a few Oscars, I think Best Picture for this one. And that's Ordinary People, starring Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, and Timothy Hutton. Judd Hirsch is in this one as well. It looks like a family drama, like a dysfunctional family drama of sorts. This is the German release. I've just still not got around to watching it yet. But I'm sure it's one that I'm going to enjoy. I love Donald Sutherland as well. So yeah, again, if you've seen this one, let me know what this one's like, what you think about it. And then next up from 1985, I think this was. Yeah, 1985, we have the great epic Out of Africa, obviously also starring the great Meryl Streep. Again, another Sidney Pollack film. Great score from John Barry, one of his best scores in my opinion. Just an epic, romantic, historical war drama, I suppose you could throw in there. Set in Africa in around 1914, I think it says, about a coffee plantation that Meryl Streep's character owns. She's basically it's based on a true story. She's goes out to Africa with her husband, who is a bit unfaithful, and she has to run the husband's plantation when he goes off to war. She falls in love with a hunter played by Robert Redford, and you can kind of guess what happens from there. Brilliant film, again, won quite a few Oscars from memory, and another great Robert Redford performance I would recommend checking out. Then from 1990, another Sidney Pollack film. He worked with Sidney Pollack quite a lot, as you can see, and one that I really enjoy, set in Havana. It's called Havana, also starring Lena Olin, set in the 50s, the late 50s. Obviously, Havana is like a haven for gambling, and he plays a poker player in this. He falls in love with Lena Olin's character, who's married to a big revolutionary in Havana, played by the great Raul Julia, who really didn't get enough time to shine before he unfortunately passed away. And it kind of goes deeper. It's a drama. It's all to do with like the big revolution that happened in Havana in the 50s, and really good film. Again, Robert Redford, really good, and underrated film that isn't really spoken about when you talk about Robert Redford. It's one, like, when you look through his filmography, you kind of think, I didn't know he did a film called Havana. But again, this is the Danish release, I believe, but definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it. Excuse me. And then one I've not seen, but I believe he narrates it and he directed it. It stars very young Brad Pitt, and it is called A River Runs Through It. A family drama, I think, based on a true story. Looks like set in Montana at the turn of the century. You've got Tom Skerritt and Brenda Blethyn, who I really like, who's in this as well. As I said, Robert Redford directed and produced this, and he narrates it. But I don't know much else about it other than that, so let me know what you think of it if you've seen it down below. And then next up from 93, one that I have seen and I had to import. I don't know why we've not got a Blu-ray release of this over here. It's an Adrian Lyne film, and it's a fantastic film of its kind. Adrian Lyne did a lot of great films in this genre, and it's of course Indecent Proposal, also starring Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson. The erotic thriller, one of the last great erotic thrillers. Adrian Lyne was the king of doing them, obviously with Fatal Attraction. He did, what was the other one he did? He did something else, and he also did Unfaithful with Richard Gere and Diane Lane, which I really like. Flashdance as well, which obviously isn't an erotic thriller, but one that I've still yet to watch. But yeah, it's basically about a billionaire that makes this proposal to this couple that he'll give $1 million to them if he can spend the night with Demi Moore, the wife. And they've got a kind of, it's like morality basically. Is it right? Should they be doing this? Is it worth the money for one night with no questions asked type thing? And really good film. Robert Redford's again on point in this, and yep, music by John Barry again, and another one that I highly recommend. And then going into the DVDs out of the case, I can only show you the disc unfortunately for these. First up we have Up Close and Personal, great romantic drama comedy, also starring Michelle Pfeiffer. Has the song Because You Love Me by Celine Dion in. I think that's what it was made for this film. I'm a sucker for a romantic comedy drama type thing, and Michelle Pfeiffer's one of my favourite actresses. It's just a really good film, quite sad as well. Can't remember too much about it. I think he plays like a documentarian or like a news report, war reporter, something like that. And he obviously falls for Michelle Pfeiffer's character, who's she works in the news, because I remember her character's name they changed, because they couldn't say it, or she couldn't say it, she had a lisp or something like that. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, one that I definitely recommend if you've not seen it. Great film that needs a Blu-ray release, Up Close and Personal. And then next up from 1998, I believe. Also, he directed this one and produced it. And who did this music for this one? Someone famous. Thomas Newman. I knew it was someone that I liked. One of my favourite composers. And it is The Horse Whisperer. Quite a long film, but really good. You've got Kristen Scott Thomas, Sam Neill, very young Scarlett Johansson, Diane Wiest, Chris Cooper. All about this this young girl gets into an accident on her horse, and she's got a lot of scars, but she loves riding horses. And basically, because the horse that she was on is basically left scarred because of the incident, she takes him to the Horse Whisperer, Robert Redford's character, to try and help rehabilitate the horse, try and help the horse get back to where it was, as well as them, kind of heals them in the process. Obviously, you can kind of guess what happens. They fall in love. Really good film. Again, I described this as an epic. It's got an epic score as well from Thomas Newman. It looks beautiful. Great story. Bit long, but another great Robert Redford film in my opinion. Yeah, that's The Horse Whisperer. Then next up, the next DVD. Again, one that he only directed, didn't star in this one, and that is, don't know if you can see that, The Legend of Bagger Vance, starring Will Smith and Matt Damon, and Charlize Theron's in it as well. And I believe, is it Jack Lemmon, one of his last films as well, I believe, or Walter Matthau, I think it was Jack Lemmon actually, yeah, plays an older version of Matt Damon's character, basically telling the story of when he met Bagger Vance, all to do with golf. And he he's like this mythical figure, and he helps Matt Damon's character win this golf tournament, set in like the 20s, I think, if I remember rightly. Again, it's been a while since I watched it, but I remember it being a solid film. So yeah, that's The Legend of Bagger Vance. Then next up, one that I talked about in my 2001 films that I really like, or my top 10 I suppose it is, and that's The Last Castle. Really good prisoner of war, I suppose, or prison. Well, they're not prisoners of war technically, but it's a prison drama starring obviously Robert Redford. James Gandolfini is the warden, who's absolutely awful in this. Not his performance, as in the character's awful. His performance is excellent. Delroy Lindo, Mark Ruffalo, really great cast. Music by Jerry Goldsmith. If you like prison dramas, this is one of my favourites. He's done 2 great prison dramas with this and Brubaker, which I really need to get, like I said. But yeah, I've spoken about this already in a recent video, so I'm not going to go into too much depth on it, but one that I definitely recommend checking out. Next up, we have another DVD, and it is Lions for Lambs. I believe, did he direct this one as well? I can't remember. But it's one of Tom Cruise's last dramatic roles, before obviously he just did action. But I think he's coming back into drama. I think the Inarritu film he's doing at the moment might be drama, I think. But obviously you've got the great Meryl Streep in this as well. I think from memory Michael Peña's in this as well. A few other people as well. I think he directed it, like I said, but it's a great, like, 90-minute political thriller, again, about morals. An attack's happened, and they've got to work out whether it's justified. You've got, I think Meryl Streep plays like this senator, I think, or maybe Tom Cruise does, and Meryl Streep, something to do with government. Robert Redford plays a professor in this, and they all somehow get involved with this incident, and it's like that, the morality of war, I suppose. Again, been a while since I watched it, so could definitely do with a fresh rewatch, fresh pair of eyes on it. But yeah, remember it being an interesting film. So that's Lions for Lambs. Next up, another one that he just directed, didn't star in, but I've not seen it yet, so I can't really comment too much on it. And it's a film called The Conspirator, starring James McAvoy and Robin Wright. You've also got Kevin Kline, Evan Rachel Wood, Danny Huston, Justin Long, Cole Meany, and Tom Wilkinson. Yeah, all about just after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, and it's all about the conspiracy surrounding that. The fact that there was more than just John Wilkes Booth, who obviously committed the assassination, but there were people conspiring against the president that were to do with this conspiracy, including, so say, this one woman played by Robin Wright, who's arrested and sentenced to be hung, and James McAvoy's got to try and prove that she wasn't responsible for this and she had nothing to do with it. That's what I think it's about. I don't know too much more about it other than that, so let me know what you think of it if you've seen it down below. Next up, one that I only watched last week, so again I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it's one called All Is Lost. Robert Redford is the only one in this, but his performance is excellent. He's on a sailing boat, a yacht I suppose more you should say, and he gets into some trouble and has to try it. It's a survival tale, I suppose, in the elements, and he's got to try and survive on his own. And yeah, really gripping, really good, like, survival thriller, I suppose it is in a way. So yeah, that's All Is Lost. 2 to go. The last DVD one we've got is, you can't see the title, but it's A Walk in the Woods, also starring Nick Nolte, Emma Thompson, who plays Robert Redford's character's wife, and Mary Steenburgen, and it's about a writer, Bill something. Robert Redford plays Bill. We'll just call him Bill because it is called Bill. His character's Bill, based on a true story of a book by Bill Bryson. That's the name of the guy. And he decides he wants to do something late in life, so he decides to go on a walk through the woods on the Appalachian Trail, and he wants to go with one of his friends, and the only person he can find is Nick Nolte's character, who he's not seen in about 20 years. They didn't leave things on the best of terms, but he agrees to go on this walk with them, and they kind of bond during this walk, rekindle their friendship. And it's a really light-hearted comedy, really good film. Yeah, really enjoy this one. Again, one that I wish had a Blu-ray release. But yeah, that's A Walk in the Woods. And the final film to talk about, again, one of his later films, and that is Disney's remake of Pete's Dragon from 2016, where he plays a believe his character is called Meacham in this. He plays the grandfather, I believe, of Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who is like a park ranger, forest ranger, I suppose you would say, who comes across Pete, who's obviously, if you've not seen the original film, he's a young boy who's living in the woods with his giant dragon called Elliot, and she kind of helps him. Obviously, they don't believe that they think he's lying, basically, because who would believe that there's a giant dragon living in the woods? But then these local people but led by Carl Urban, sort of decide to take things into their own hands and try and get rid of this dragon. And yeah, really good remake. I saw the original when I was a lot younger. It's been a long time since I've seen the original, but as far as remakes go, this was a really good, really heartwarming story, and yeah, really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that's Pete's Dragon. And that is everything in my Robert Redford collection. Let me know what ones I'm missing down below so I can try and add them to the collection. Let me know what some of your favourite Robert Redford films are down below. And also, more importantly than anything else, what actor or actress would you like to see me talk about next in the collection? I've got a few ideas, but it always helps with suggestions so I kind of know where to go. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts on Robert Redford. Do you like him as an actor? What's your favourite film you've seen him in? Anything like that down below. And that is it. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Turn your notification bell on so you know when I have a new video uploaded to the channel. And comment down below, anything and everything. As you know, I always take the time to get back to anyone that leaves me a comment, because I really do appreciate it. And that is it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.